Okay, so part three is where Carter and her find out that they won the challenge. Now they end up going to Paris for the weekend, and Carter is really mean to her and like just treating her like crap the whole weekend for some reason, or this beginning of the weekend, and really acts like he wants nothing to do with her. And so she decides she's going to go out and she's going to go shopping or do whatever she wants to on her own, which is not a good idea because out in that where they're at, it's not safe to be for women to be out after dark by themselves. And they were already told this, but she kind of ignored that warning. Well, she was attacked, and that night, Carter beat the crap, saved her, beat the crap out of this guy. And she thought he was dead, but Carter was like, no, he's just hurt, whatever. And he's going to call an ambulance and told Ashley to go back to the hotel. Ashley does. Well, for the longest time, she believes that this guy was just in the hospital. Well, Carter didn't tell her the truth. And of course, you'll learn that in a little bit. Now, when Carter gets back, he's got blood on his hands, of course, but she thought it was just from the fight that had occurred. She couldn't find her purse or nothing because I guess she had dropped it in the alley where she was attacked. Now, Carter is like mad. They're yelling back and forth, and then Carter kisses her. Well, she kind of wants to push him away, but then she kind of goes along with it, and she starts falling for Carter while they're in Paris. But she knows that it can't stay that way, so she just enjoys it pretty much while they're there. Now, when they get back to campus, Carter acts like she's the most nastiest thing in the world, acts like she's nothing to him, talks crap to her, puts her down, all kinds of stuff. I mean, it gets really bad. Now, he don't like the way that Carter's talking to her. And, of course, he says something to Carter, but it's also, they're all best friends, so that's just kind of how they are. Now, Heath keeps trying to talk to Ashley, but Ashley's kind of distant because of everything that's going on. And she's confused about how she feels about Carter and the way that he treated her when they got back. Now, Carter keeps trying to apologize, but she's just not giving him the time of day, especially after the way he talked to her. Now, Heath asked Ashley, because she was headed to get lunch at the school cafeteria, if she would come back to his apartment and that he could cook for Ashley for lunch, and it would be better than what she was going to get at the cafeteria. Well, during this time, she runs into Jade, and Jade starts saying how she spent the weekend with Ashley's boyfriend, which was supposedly Heath at the time. And Ashley was just like, Jade's just trying to start stuff. So then, after all of that said and done, then Ashley goes back and has lunch. Well, then Royce walks in, and they start talking shit to each other. And he was like, well, at least I didn't have my boyfriend sleeping with somebody else while I was gone. And she's like, no, you just like to sleep with other people's boyfriends or other people's girlfriends. And this gets a whole lot of stuff started. So then Ashley's like, I can't trust Carter. I can't trust Heath. I can't trust nobody at this point. So I'm leaving. So then she decides to get up and leave. Well, when she leaves, they both now are trying to apologize. And of course that don't end well for them. So Jade just started a whole bunch of stuff without even knowing it. Now, Ashley's at the library studying when Nate comes in, and she starts getting these weird text messages, telling her to get out, don't do this, don't do that. She thinks they're warnings, but Nate doesn't like the way that it sounds. So then when Nate comes in, and he grabs the phone from her, and he's like, what is this? And who's it from? She's like, obviously I don't know, because I keep asking him, who is this? Duh. And he's like, well, I can find out, but I have to have you do something for me instead. And she's like, okay, no, I'm not doing that. Ooh, gross. Thinking that he's talking about something else. And he's like, no, that's not what I'm talking about. I want you to fail the next competition. And she's like, why would I do that? Because that's going to look, no. And so then he finally talks her into it because she really wants to know who these text messages are from. So she agrees to fill it. Whatever. It's not like it's too big of a deal for her. So then when she agrees and Nate goes and like does his little thing, it takes only 2 seconds to find out who the number is from. It's supposed to be from the girl that wrote the book that's supposedly dead, which is kind of crazy because when they try to call the number back, it's been disconnected. So somehow all this weird stuff starts happening. Dead girl's phones don't work, and her stuff had been closed and cut off like 2 years prior to this text message. So they thought that was really weird. Well, so she gets up and she runs out of the library. Well, when she runs out of the library, there's like these 2 or 3 masked men in the DB clothing that grabs her and takes her and puts a mask over her head, and she's like screaming for them to get off of her, and it's during the day and like nobody sees what's going on. And they drug her and she hits her head trying to get trying to get away from them on the van door. And they take her out in the middle of nowhere. Well, at this time, she's passed out because she don't know what's going on. So when she wakes up, she's got this killer headache. And when she opens her eyes, she's really cold. They have stripped her down to bare nothing. No shoes, no nothing. And she's in the middle of this forest. Well, it's in the middle of the night in October, and it's really cold. And when they get her up there, or when she gets up, she don't know which way to go. And she's freaking out. Finally, she starts remembering back to something that was said in the diary about them doing this exact same thing to that girl Abigail, which is who this phone number keeps calling her from. But she's supposedly dead. And then the book had this exact scenario in it. So she had been through it as well. So she starts trying to remember key points of this, like a river and the stream and where this bag was supposed to be and this broken bridge and all this kind of stuff. Well, as she's trying to warm her body up, she's trying to run, but she's getting cuts in her feet, and she sits down because she's like hypothermia is starting to set in, and she's dehydrated, and she sips from this river, but she don't know if it's safe, but of course she has no other choice. And she's out there for like a day and a half in the cold trying to get back to campus. Well, when she finally finds the old bridge, she gets somebody like a shirt that's been tied somewhere, and it's nasty, it stinks, it smells, but she don't care at this point. She kind of huddles down underneath this bridge to try to wait for the sun to rise so she can at least warm up somewhat, which this might have ended up just saving her life. And she gets up and she finally walks another probably half a day. And then one of the professors sees her walking along the road and gets her in her car and takes her back to campus. Well, all that professor wants to do at this point is take her to the hospital because she's in really bad shape. But all she keeps saying is no. I can't go to the hospital. I'm going to finish this. I'm going to see this through. Because at this point, she still thinks the DBs had something to do with this. So then, when the DBs have done all of this, which there's a whole lot more to it. That's why you have to read the story. She gets back to campus and Carly comes running out asking her where she was. And when she sees how tore up Ashley is, she knows something's not right. Well, Nate comes running up and she's like, not now. I don't have the energy or anything to take care or to do this or deal with this. And so when Nate gets to her, she like don't remember really much after that. She just kind of collapses in his arms. And when they get to the hospital, Carly is protecting her by having saying that she's hit her sister and using her name and all kinds of stuff, trying to get like this whole thing situated, but to also keep her safe. And she won't let none of the guys in the room because she knows that they had something to do with it, or so she suspects, because Ashley had said she did, or she knows that they did. Well, they are all doing all this stuff, and when Ashley's mom gets there, they take her back to their house, Max and Carly's mom. And she's like, you need to tell us what happened. Ashley's like, I will, but Max needs to be here too, because he needs to know what kind of deranged stuff his son has been doing to me. And that's when she goes to get Max, but Nate walks in along with Max. And she's like, no, get him the hell out of here. I don't want nothing to do with him. He doesn't need to be here. I don't feel comfortable with him. I don't trust him. But of course, Nate won't leave the room at all. Now, she finally goes into telling him, well, he's been doing this. He's been threatening me. He's been giving me crap. He set me up to make me look like a prostitute. Like, all of it. And of course, Max is not happy with Nate at all, but he also tells Ashley and them that they're grown enough to work this out and to fix it. But he's also done with Nate acting like he's top shit, pretty much. And so all of this happened, and Nate's like, I had nothing to do with this. I don't care if you believe me or not. And then the other guys come in, and they're all like, I can't believe you thought we'd do this to you. We would never. This is crazy. Pretty much that it's just not something that it actually is. So then they are all talking, and then finally there's some sort of Nate bringing up, oh, well, there's this messaging. Somebody's messaging her and this, and she's like, shut up, because you don't know what you're talking about yet. And he was like, they're threatening her. And she's like, no, they're not threats. They're warnings and telling me that this would have happened, and I should have believed them. Well, all of that happened, and finally she says, I'm tired. I just want to go to bed. So then that's what she does. So later on, they end up going to another challenge after she heals. She doesn't want to go, but really she had no choice, because they said that they were all going and she couldn't be left alone. So she ends up going. Come to find out, one of them owned this place that they went to. She just didn't know it at the time. So then there was this guy that was there that kind of hit on her, but he was drunk, and he got hit by Nate. And Nate wasn't happy because of the fact that he was like, well, if you'd stop spreading your legs to everybody, then maybe this wouldn't have happened. So then that hurt Ashley's feelings. It was just a whole blown up mess. So then when they all go swimming later that day, they go back to their rooms to get changed. And when they walk in, there's a dead guy that's decapitated on the bed. And that, of course, shuts that down. They get back to campus, and she gets another message from that number that they didn't know about, and talking about how it was supposed to be her and not this guy, and he was just an accident, and to watch her back, and she needs to go back to her room and not be anywhere near the guys. It was another like threat or whatever. So then when they get back to campus after the whole killing spree, Roy shows up saying that he's staying with her from this point on. on until they figure out who was doing this. Now, she was wondering why it wasn't Carter or Heath. Well, then Roy starts telling her that Heath is having these nightmares to the point to where he's like hurt other people because he doesn't know like that he's doing it, like he's sleepwalking. And when he goes to therapy, it's still not doing anything to help him. And he keeps saying that he feels like he's not sleeping well, because even when he's sleeping, because he feels like he's having these like dreams, like he's sleepwalking. And of course, he don't know what's true and what's not true at this point. Well, then they're all fighting and they're all getting along, and then they fight again. And then when Ashley is dragged out of a classroom with Carter, because Carter is tired of Ashley not listening to him and like giving him a chance to apologize. And Royce is like stuck up her butt 24/7 trying to protect her. Carter's just having nothing to do with it at this point. So then he makes her listen and makes her understand that his mom has that girl that she's supposed to marry. And I mean, it's a bunch of stuff. But then they end up hooking up again against her really wanting to, but then she kind of just goes with it because she thinks that maybe now it'll be different. But she soon figures out it's not. Now, right after they get done, Carter and her find this guy screaming at the top of his lungs, naked on the flagpole, and they're swearing that Heath did it. He says, I know it was him. He's the only one that has a build like that. Of course, this face was covered, but they're swearing that he was at Dr. Fox's office, which is a psych doctor. And then the psych doctor's saying, yeah, he's been with me for 2 hours, but nothing's adding up. And you'll see that here in the next few minutes. But all of this has just gotten to be a little too much. We're going to go to a part 4 real quick, and that should be the end of this one. But part 4 coming up right now.